Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. Wherever you are in the world, we are so excited to start our week with you again. My name is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is Women in Business. And we're going to be talking about that subject that literally scares the daylights out of a lot of us. It's the topic of money. Why is it we are so afraid of dealing with money and giving it to all away, whether it's shoes and bags, whatever it might be? That was my thing. Today, we have an expert with us. She's joining us from Canada. Her name is Kalee Boisvert, and she is a financial advisor with Raymond James. She is going to help us understand what are some of the best things that we can do right now, regardless of our age, to help build wealth. Let's welcome her to the program. Kalee, come on out.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Jacalyn.
It's an absolute pleasure. And as I mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, this is a topic that really has haunted me most of my life, and it's haunted a lot of other women. I don't know what it is. It's almost like the imposter syndrome, that the money has more power than we have. So congratulations to you for entering this world and helping me and so many others to understand what it is that we need to know so we're not afraid.
Absolutely.
So you started off with money at a young age within your own home and seeing what was going on with your mom. And tell us a little bit about that journey from there till today.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. Money can be very scary. So I'm glad we're having this conversation today. But yeah, my journey started really young. So I grew up in a single parent family. My mom raised my sister and I, and she did a fabulous job. But money really showed up as a source of like stress and struggle for us growing up. And so that was really difficult to see. So I remember very early on, like 7 or 8, kind of sensing that and seeing that stress that it caused my mom, and really wishing there was something I could do to help. But at that point, I still felt really powerless on like, well, what can I do at this point in life? But I think that's really what started my mission and my whole value to like help women, feel empowered, because I never wanted women to feel that way. Like I never wanted to see that again for women, that stress that I saw my mom carry. So I started really early on being almost like a student of it and trying to figure it out, because, what I was realizing as I was looking around, and well, not everyone, had money as a source of struggle or stress. Like there was other people that could get the things they want. And, as a kid, it was like I seeing my friends and they had the stuff. And so I kind of started figuring it out early on, like, what do I need to do to make my own money? And it happened when I was begging my mom for a Super Nintendo at the time. And instead of saying something like, no, we can't afford that, she said, okay, fine. If you want a Super Nintendo so badly, you can go buy one yourself. And so I was like, wow, that wasn't a no. That was yeah, like in my world, I'm like, well, that's a yes. So I did everything I could and set out to try to earn my own money. And I worked really hard and sort of socked away diligently my savings. And I didn't have a lot of earning power then. Like I think I did the odd jobs, and I went on with my sister on babysitting gigs and things like that. I was like 9 years old at the time. But I saved up enough money, and I had enough. It probably took me close to a year. And then I was able to buy that Super Nintendo myself with my own money, and it felt amazing. It was so empowering. And so that changed everything for me. That changed seeing money as this stress and struggle to, okay, I can do something about it. There's possibilities and it can feel good. It can feel inspiring. And so that really set me on my journey of thinking, okay, well, how can I spread the word? How can I make other women feel that same way, that same feeling I had the day I bought my very own Super Nintendo? And that's what I've, come to a point in my business now and still doing, is helping women really feel that way too, feel empowered, feel confident, feel inspired, feel like, that money is their thing, that they can do it and they can accomplish and achieve their biggest financial goals. And so I'm very, blessed and grateful to be doing what I do. And I think, yes, that early beginning for me is what sort of started it all on this path to doing what I do.
That's a great story. Thank you. And I just love how you light up when you're talking about your journey. And obviously, you're very passionate about it. And something I'd like to just tap into for a moment. I'll be 60 next month. But when I was growing up, my father and my mother really, but they were very clear that you're going to have to earn your own way. My dad would say, "Do you see money growing on trees? No. Do you think you're just going to get a handout your whole life? No, you're going to have to work for it." But I certainly have had a number of friends through the years, women who were looking for that prince who was coming on the white horse to save them, and basically thinking, "Okay, I'll work a certain amount, but somebody else is always going to take care of me," only to find out that they end up divorced or the relationship breaks up, and then they haven't been in the workforce, and it's kind of a really scary thing. So, a question I have for you is, even if you're in a relationship with someone, you can still take this opportunity as a woman to get passive income or to invest in some way to take care of yourself. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. Like, you make such a good point there. And that does happen all too often, is that, yeah, women think that they kind of have to look to someone else almost to accomplish those financial goals, and that, that they seek that, like you said, the prince, or maybe he's not a prince, but has a good job or whatnot. And it's interesting to me. And I think that kind of comes from, maybe older beliefs of thinking like that men were the primary breadwinners and things like that. And so I really hope it's changing. But I do see what you described on the other side of things, of women going through divorce and then all of a sudden, being put in the driver's seat and feeling really scared because they weren't involved in the finances or the conversations around money up until that point. So I always recommend for people to always stay engaged when it comes to your money, whether it be, giving up financial control to a spouse or a partner, financial professional. Like, we cannot fully give up control. We have to stay engaged. We have to stay in the conversation, because it's your money and no one's going to care about it or love it as much as you do. Like, that's a for sure, that's a fact. So knowing that, being part of that conversation. And if it is, that you're in a couple scenario, by all means, if, you divide and conquer to get more tasks done and things like that for efficiency's sake. But when it comes to money, it's such a big topic that you both have to be in the conversation. So maybe one person's taking the lead on getting bills paid and things like that, but you still both have to come together and have the conversations, and be in the know. So if you feel like you're in the dark, if you feel like there's a lot you don't know about your finances, that's probably a good indication that there's some work to be done there, that you have to have some conversations around money, that you have to be in the conversation. So whether it's making sure that you're at the next appointment with your financial advisor, whether it's setting a money date. I always say that's a great idea for couples to do, is set a date, maybe it's once a month, where you're just going to sit down and talk about money. And that way you have that opportunity to communicate, to feel like you're on, the same page, and that you're in the know. Because the worst thing we could see is that those scenarios like you described, of like all of a sudden being put into that situation, losing a spouse, going through a divorce, and then having to sort of scramble and figure it out all then. Well, you can do things now, and don't, think that it's too late, or it's overwhelming. Take it step by step. Do it sort of like one piece at a time, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. But it's such a good goal to have, is that you're going to be engaged, that you're going to be part of the conversation, and that you're going to be in the know when it comes to your money.
I love that you just shared that. I actually know of people who have told me that they are not allowed to get the mail. They have no idea what's coming in the mail. And another person, their spouse passed away. They have never written a check. and all of these things, in addition to being out on your own, for example, now you're in a complete crisis mode because you don't know the first thing about money. So let's talk about the work that you do. You are a financial advisor and you are in an industry that's highly regulated, and you do have knowledge and expertise that you bring to your clients. Can you share a little bit more about this for people who don't know what a financial advisor does?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. I think it's like, in some ways we feel like we're like jack of all trades when it comes to money. So I was reading an article on the weekend actually, and it was like summing up what an advisor does. I'm like, oh, this is interesting because this might help me sum up what we do. But then what it kind of came out from it was like, here are the things that they don't do. So I was like, well, so that didn't help at all. But it does, I think, sort of emphasize the fact that it really is different, and it depends on the unique sort of advisor you're working with and your unique situation. But really, you can think of a financial advisor as like your partner, that's in your corner, that's really helping you achieve your financial goals. So helping you design a strategy to get to those goals, whether they're short-term, medium-term, long-term goals. Maybe it's planning for saving for your kids' education. Maybe it's buying a vacation property. And then, in the longer term goal, maybe it's planning for your financial freedom or your retirement. So it's kind of taking an assessment, or taking inventory of where you're at right now, kind of seeing where you'd like to go on different goals, and then actually creating a plan to help you get there. And then along the way, of course, giving investment advice, breaking down sort of the investment allocation and how we're going to invest according to those goals, and creating a unique investment plan for you, incorporating tax strategies. So not actually completing your taxes, that would be for a accounting professional, but making sure that everything is optimized to help achieve your goals, and help with your financial situation and your tax situation. And yeah, kind of being that, I guess, that person that's going to help you through kind of the emotional responses and the emotional ups and downs as well. And I think that's really a lot of what we've done this past year, or for 2000 or 2022. So it was a really tough year for the finances. 2022, the stock markets were down. So I think that year, or for a lot of us financial advisors, it was a lot of just coaching and helping get clients through that really stressful time of seeing markets go down, helping talk them through it, helping revisit their plan, making sure they're still on course, making sure that their investments are still in alignment with those goals and things like that. So a financial advisor, we can do all sorts of things. Like, I've had conversations with my clients about just money mindset. A client who just really felt like she had a lot of like a scarcity mindset coming up for her, and she's a business owner, and she knew that she wanted to change that and do something about it. So we just had a conversation about money mindset, and where that might be coming from, and what are some positive things that can help her kind of reset that mindset. So it's so many kind of different roles we play. So again, it's hard to say, obviously, from the article, what we do and but I guess it's sort of the specific things we don't do. So accountant is going to file your taxes. A lawyer is going to actually draft up a will, things like that. But a financial advisor is kind of that like concierge to kind of maybe direct you in the right place for those different professionals and other people that can help you if it's outside of the realm of what we do.
Thank you for explaining that. That was very helpful. And for people who are thinking, I don't know that I even have enough money to have a financial advisor, but I don't know if I'm ever going to have enough money if I don't start somewhere. So,
Yeah.
what do you say to that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there isn't necessarily a set minimum. So again, it's very dependent on the advisor you're working with. Oftentimes, just by their like sheer size and their capacity, they have to sort of set a limit to what their clients have to work with them. Or maybe it's based on the models they use or the approach they take. But there really isn't like a set standard minimum. So depending on the person you go to, that's a great question to ask right off the bat. Like, if you're thinking, I want to work with a financial professional, then reach out to a few and have that be one of your questions. Like, is there a minimum that I'd have to work with you? And again, there isn't a set minimum across the board. So it's like sort of on your search that might help kind of, I guess, lessen kind of who might be the potential for that you'd want to interview further and ask more questions to, of what size of client, like what amount of assets you have to work with them. So it's a great question to start out with, but don't ever think that, okay, I don't have enough, or maybe, I have to be at a certain place, because all that is just behavior that kind of leads to more procrastination or stalling. And when it comes to money and finances, taking action and doing things now is always better than putting it on hold. So don't let that be what's kind of holding you up or holding you back from actually going out there looking for someone and trying to find a good fit if you are looking for someone to work with.
Thank you. And when we're thinking about mindset when it comes to money, and we're also thinking about our behaviors, typically scarcity comes up, budgets come up, I have to give up so much. What is it that we can do now so that we don't necessarily always have to be in the defensive position? We can take more of the offense and become more empowered when it comes to money.
Yeah, that's a great question. You're right. Like sometimes it feels like money's happening to us, right? It's all coming at us. It's like I never have enough money, it's always another bill or something like that, or I'm in debt and I can't get out of debt. So that's like a money mindset piece that we have to work on. Like if you find that those are sort of the thoughts or the messages you're receiving, it probably, you know, like brings sort of sheds a light on maybe there's some work to be done there. Because what I always like to say is money is neutral. Like it's not good, it's not bad. We assign those sort of feelings, or money is scary or money is fabulous, like whatever it is, we actually assign that to it. So if it's feeling like I never have enough, I can never get ahead, there's probably some money mindset work that you can work on that is sort of like saying, where is this coming from? And when we do some of that inner work, what you sometimes realize is it's coming from maybe our childhood. Like I said, like I grew up in a single parent family, and money was really a source of like scarcity. So for me, I had to do my own money mindset work, I've realized. And over the years, I've done a lot of work in that, because like my messages were, you have to work really hard for money. Money, like it kind of comes and goes, and it's like you can never kind of keep and sort of build wealth. It felt like that it was always sort of coming, or it was always going out as quick as it was coming in. And so those were things that I had to look in on and say, hey, where's this coming from? Is it maybe something I picked up in childhood from messages or from what I was seeing? And then once you kind of see where they originated, then deciding, does this really serve me? Do I want to continue with this mindset? Do I want to have this going forward? Because we can consciously choose what we want to believe about money. Because remember, it's neutral. So I can consciously choose, I don't want to believe that anymore. I don't want to believe that money is hard, that it's a struggle, that it's scarcity. I want to believe that there's abundance. I want to believe that I can build wealth, whatever that is for you, and whatever feels good, because for everyone, it's going to feel a little bit different depending on where you are in your journey. But for a lot of people, for instance, debt is a big thing that it's sort of your goal is maybe, I want to pay down debt, I want to pay off debt. But you might have those money mindset and money beliefs coming up of like, I can never get out of debt, or I'm always in debt. And if you have those, well, you can do all the work and you can pay down the bills, but guess what? You might continue to accumulate debt and be in that like self-fulfilling prophecy of saying, I can't get out of this debt cycle. So in that case, maybe the money mindset shift is kind of coming up with different affirmations to say. And I think I provided these in like a post I did once, but like one idea might just be like, I'm living debt free, or I'm getting rid of debt for good. Have one of those, or maybe one that you come up with yourself, but that you can kind of have on repeat to sort of reprogram that mindset piece. And it's very powerful. Like I believe that our words and our thoughts about money are so powerful, and we don't do enough work on that side of things. We kind of just think, well, maybe it's that I don't make enough, or, I have to, if I want to be a millionaire, I have to make, lots of money or things like that. And I can tell you that's not true, because I work with clients in all different, stages of life and all different incomes, and they've achieved these big money goals. But yes, a common factor is that they have this mindset or this belief of like what they're doing and what they're working towards, and they can see it happening. So the mindset piece is so huge. And looking into what you have or what you see coming up for yourself can be really a really like valuable awareness tool.
I'm backstage just shaking my head. Yes, yes, yes. I agree with everything you're saying. And it's very exciting because regardless of where you are, what you have, you can change that. And
Yeah.
I would say the last maybe 10 years, I started changing my mindset and thinking that there is an abundance of money. Why can't I have a piece of it? Why is it everyone else? And then we have to look at how are we talking to ourselves and what are the stories that we are telling ourselves. And I know my parents struggled for part of their life, and you can remember those things and how they reacted and how it felt, but then we don't have to buy into it. Doesn't mean that that's going to happen to us. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about what does that process, that engagement look like for you working with clients?
That's a good question. So it's, I guess, like I said, it's kind of different and unique as, we all are. Like I stress so much in my business that no two people are alike. So when you find yourself, that's a big thing too with money, is that money comparison. When you find yourself, thinking that like, I'm supposed to be here, this is where, most people my age are, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. By all means, everyone is unique as can be. Like everyone has very different goals. So what it always starts with is just that discovery meeting for me to just mostly listen and ask questions about, what are they trying to achieve? I usually start out saying like, what is top of mind? Because there's usually something that's nagging them, that the reason they reached out to begin with. So I don't want to obviously overlook that. So it's usually starting out with what's top of mind. What are your biggest pain points? Because it's looking to find a way first to solve those. Like there's steps, and it's a journey, and it's an ongoing sort of journey, our money and our financial lives. So, we can't sort of change everything and rejig everything day one, but it's just understanding for people, having those questions of, maybe it is money mindset questions and money beliefs. Maybe it's asking them things like, what was the best investment you've ever made? And then, asking questions like, on the other side of that, what's the worst investment you've ever made? And I get very interesting responses to that. And it can be, doing sort of what they see as a financial mistake, or just, what they felt like was the worst. Or sometimes they said the worst was the best because it's what they learned from it, and things like that. So asking a lot of questions to really dig deeper into that unique person scenario and what it is that they're looking to achieve. And then from there, we create a plan of action to what we're going to do. And sort of, again, starting with the top pain points, or what's really going on right now, and then kind of working towards a sort of, step by step, taking it on what we're going to achieve. Because there's a lot, and life is constantly, moving and changing. It's dynamic. We're getting married, we're having kids, we're going on vacations, we're changing jobs, we're doing all sorts of different things. So it's never like sort of a one and done or set it and forget it scenario. It's that we're constantly checking in, and we're seeing, okay, this is where we were, this is where we're trying to get to, and where are you on the path to achieving that. So it's understanding your clients, what they're really looking for, creating a plan of action. The plan starts with really developing an awareness, so taking an inventory. It's not an exercise to, beat yourself up or feel shame or anything like that. Because I think a lot of people want to take this head in the sand approach and not even really look at where they stand. But, that's a very important piece. We have to know where we're starting if we have a destination or a place we want to get to, right? If we're looking to get somewhere and we have our phone GPS, the first piece of information it needs is, where are you right now? Because you need to know where you're at right now in order to get to where you're wanting to go to. So it's taking that inventory and then working with them to understand and uncover their plans. And then using that's the number side of thing that comes in, which I love the number side of things, but actually using the software and tools that we have to understand, okay, what do you need to do to get there? What do the numbers have to do? How much do you maybe have to put away every month, or what things need to change to make sure that you're on track to get there? So that's kind of the process. But yeah, it all starts with just understanding and really delving deeper into everyone's unique situation.
That's really exciting. And it sounds like in your role as a financial advisor, you're also a coach. You're the cheerleader. You're there. You're not there to put anyone down. You're there just to say, hey, let's look at where you are and where is it you want to go. And Kalee, during the pandemic, many people left their work. Maybe they were in corporate, or maybe they weren't working and they had to start working. Maybe they started their own business. So for each journey that we are each on, you can provide that coaching and an expertise to help us really take that fear of money away from the whole scenario so we can focus on what it is that we're doing. If it's our new career path, if it's our new business, and money is always going to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That coach. And I think, there's a lot of like, I guess, media and eh, people coming out saying like financial advisors are too expensive. And by not having an advisor, you can have this much more money. But I guess my response or answer to that is, what is the cost of doing nothing? Because a lot of the times the people I work with are coming to me because they haven't taken the steps yet. And I'm, there as their coach, like you said, to help support them and get that set up. Like, I'm not just going to let them go, okay, well, we'll talk again. Well, no, we have to take the actions. We have to do the steps. So I think it's so important to realize that, the response to that financial advisors cost money. Yes, we cost money, but accountants cost money, lawyers cost money, all those services cost money. It's, well, what is the cost of doing nothing? Maybe what's the cost of not working with someone if it means that you're not going to do anything? If you're going to say, well, I should get around to that. Maybe I will after I read that book or take that course or, do this or that. So there's a lot of value for people, especially if you find yourself not taking action, that maybe it is you need that partner, that coach in your corner to make sure that happens.
Absolutely. Great answer. I feel like that comes into the fear factor, the procrastination. It's just excuses that we make because we don't want to do the work, but yet we want some magic wand to come and the money to fall out of the trees and no, it doesn't work that way. So,
No. But
and
it can be easy. Like, I think we overcomplicate it, and the industry is not great at making it more user friendly. I would say the industry itself kind of overcomplicates it. There's all sorts of financial jargon that we use, but it's a lot easier, and it can be a lot easier that, if we break it down into its simplest form, like how do we, if you say, I want to be a millionaire or I want to grow my wealth, what do you need to do? Well, here's what you need to do. You have to spend less than you're earning. So your earnings have to be more than what you're spending every month, or else, what's coming in is just going right back out the door. So spend less than you earn, and you have to save and invest, because investing is going to help grow your money. And that's through that growth and compounding that your money is going to be working for you, essentially. So it's actually really easy. Spend less than you earn and save and invest. Like, that's it. So we overcomplicate it. We make it seem like it's rocket science and we have to learn all these particular strategies and things like that. And it's like, nope, just got to do those things.
a question I have is a follow-up. I've had a conversation like this with a number of women who have their own business, some recent and some for many years. And so they were typically from an ego mindset in the past where money had a certain amount of prestige. And now they're from a heart-centric place where they need the money to build their work so that they can help more people. So my question is, if you see an opportunity for your business that could really help you grow, but you don't have the money sitting in the bank, should you go ahead and proceed because you can see where it's going to take you and you believe that the universe is with you and the money's going to come? Or do you say, I don't have it in the bank account, so not now?
That's good question. I feel like the spiritual, like if you believe it, you can achieve it, is going to say, yes, go for it. I think each person is probably going to have their own tolerance for risk for that. But I would say, as women, we often sell ourselves short. Like you said at the beginning, it was that imposter syndrome, right? That often we have this imposter syndrome that we have about our businesses, about our wealth, about, that, okay, I don't know enough, or I'm not going, like, but inside, maybe, yeah, deep down, or, below that or behind that is that knowing of like, this will work and this will be, something that pays off. So I would call that like investing in yourself. And I'm all for investing in yourself. Like, I started my business with nothing. When I decided I wanted to go as a financial advisor on my own, I was a single mom. I was doing my MBA. So money was just like going out the door. And I was like, well, there's a lot of risk here because you have, you start with no clients, no income. And so it was like, if this doesn't work, like there wasn't really a backup plan. But I had so much belief in myself and so much passion for what I was trying to do that it was like failure wasn't even an option. The alternatives of like this might not work or whatnot, those didn't even like register. I was like, this is gonna work, this has to work. And I just went for it. So I think, for women, it's really like taking a look at your why. And if it's strong enough and you're passionate enough, it won't even be a question. Like it will probably just be like, find the means to make it possible because this is what you're meant to be doing. So, I mean, maybe that's like my my own sort of beliefs or my own risk tolerance and whatnot, but that it worked for me, and I had a lot to lose or a lot of things that I had to like financially support. I had to pay for a roof over my head, mine and my daughter's head. So it's, there was a lot to potentially lose, but it was like, I know this is right. I know it's going to work. And I went for it. So if it is that like imposter syndrome or feeling that insecurity, I would hope you kind of dig deeper and look into your why and that passion. Because you're like, right, when we lead with our hearts and go after that, oftentimes that's where the wealth and the abundance comes from.
Yes, this is brilliant. I love what you just shared because that's what it takes. There is no failure. We're moving forward because we totally believe that this is our passion and this is our purpose. One thing that I think we need to talk about more on this platform and everywhere else is, what are we teaching our children, and why aren't we learning as children about money? Instead, we get to a certain point in our life and then, we graduate college or we get out of high school, whatever it is, and you walk into the mall and there's people there with the credit card. Sign up for your first credit card. At least that's what it was when I was getting out of school. And then it's kind of like, whoa, what do I do with this? I'll just start buying all kinds of things, and you don't even think about the ramifications. So you are a soon-to-be author, and I'd love to hear more about this. We're actually going to pull up your website and also Amazon where we can take a look at this. But you have a message for children and their families. Tell us more about this.
Yeah. So I wrote a children's book, a children's picture book about a little girl learning about money, because what I hear time and again from people as their biggest regret is that they wish they would have started sooner. Like they wish they would have started saving and thinking about investing a lot sooner than they had. And I feel like that probably rings true even for my own journey, that I wish I would have felt confident enough to start investing sooner. So I wrote a picture book because I was like, how soon? How soon can we start? And I'm like, we can start really soon. My daughter was like 5 years old at the time. And I'm like, we need to have these conversations with kids now. And we can't just rely on the education system, because money, it's a life skill, it's ongoing. And so as parents, we have to kind of step in and be in that role to teach them and mentor them and give them ideas or advice or share stories of what we learned. I think like as parents, sometimes when you feel like, well, I don't know much about money, how can I teach my child? Well, of course, you know a lot. Like you've paid bills your whole life. You've managed to get where you are. So I would say, you're probably better than you think. And there's probably a lot of value you can provide your child. And the more you can give, or the sooner you can start having these conversations, the better. So I wrote Money Wise Mabel's Bursting Bank, about a little girl learning about money. And it's basically, she fills up her piggy bank and it's, she's like, I can spend it on candy and all this sorts of stuff. But it's, her mom points out, well, you don't have to let it burn a hole. Money doesn't have to burn a hole in your pocket. You can save up for something even bigger. And it just gives her an idea of like, wow, something bigger, like what else could it be? And then she wants to have a bank account too, and she goes on the journey to get her own bank account. And it's fun because it reminds me, I don't know if this is true with everyone, but I remember when I opened my first bank account. So I don't know if that's like a vivid memory for everyone, but it really is for me. So I wanted to create that for parents with their children too, to have those conversations. And then maybe the book gets you talking about like, what are you saving for, and what do you want to do with your money? And what do you want to be when you grow up? And like bigger conversations it opens up. So that's Money Wise Mabel, and what I'm hoping to achieve with that parents can, have this book as a tool to get the conversation started.
I absolutely love it. Let's take a look. I'm going to pull it up here so that people can actually go over to Amazon and they can order it.
Yes.
All right, here we are. Money Wise Mabel's Bursting Bank, available in Kindle as well as paperback. And I love the cover. I love all the colors on the cover too. That's really, it's very eye-catching.
It's cute. And I think it's important that, I wrote it as from a little girl's perspective. Like, I think, oftentimes as little girls, again, like why are we raised to believe that we have to wait for them knight in shining armor or whatever, right? Like that we can make money, that we can achieve whatever it is we want. So yeah, hopefully that too. It's all about, empowering everyone, but also empowering, really importantly, to empower women and little girls.
And the book is really not just for children, it's for their families, their adults, their caregivers as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a great idea for like grandparents to get their grandkids or parents to get their children. Or I'd love to see it in schools, like being read in kindergarten classes or grade 1. Like it opens up so much conversation, and talking to kids about money, if anything, like it's actually really funny. So if nothing else, it's funny and entertaining to hear what your kids have in mind with their money.
And you also have another book that's coming out. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So it's called Make Money Your Thing. And it's a nonfiction book for women about building confidence around money. So oftentimes women say things like, math isn't my thing. I'm not good with numbers. I'm not good with money. Well, then this book is saying, make money your thing. Like that's the goal, that it can be your thing. It can be everyone's thing. There's no like special club you have to be involved in or anything, or have a certain amount of money. Like I want all women to just be okay with where they are with their money and feel good about it, because life is short, and we kind of like put so much bearing on money and wealth, I find, but money's just a tool, right? It's just a tool to make things possible. And so it's nothing in itself. Like if I told you right now I'd give you $1 million, like free and clear, here's $1 million, but the catch is, you can't spend it. Like it just has to sit there and you don't get to touch it. Then you're going to say like, well, I don't really need your $1 million because it's worthless to you. It doesn't have any value in that way. But the value is when it's a tool and we just use it for other things. So I just want people to be okay with where they are, that money shouldn't be this stress. Like articles lately I'm reading keep saying things like money is the number one source of stress for people. Well, it shouldn't be. Like it doesn't have to be at all. And how can we change that? It's just being confident and being okay with who you are, like, and where you're at, wherever that is, that you don't have to feel like you have to keep up with the Joneses or keep up with the Kardashians, right? Like you don't have to, if that's not the things that light you up, then it's about like embracing your uniqueness and being okay with where you're at and having confidence in that. Like there's just so much to be said with confidence. And when we can be confident with where we're at, there's so much magic that can happen from there.
Thank you. And it sounds like you're dispelling this statement that I've heard so many times. In order to have money, you have to marry it or you have to inherit it.
It's not true.
No, definitely not true.
No. You can make it yourself, you can build it yourself, but you can also decide that you can still get the things you want and do the things. Like maybe your goals are just that you want to have more opportunity to spend time with your kids, or you want to go on adventures and explore new places. Like then those are the goals. It's not the money. It's, those are the goals. Those are the values. Those are what's important to you.
Absolutely. And how many times do we see the uber rich or the wealthy people who get themselves into trouble, and it doesn't matter how much money they have, or you have a health problem and you can't throw money at it to make it go away. So it is about making choices and not being afraid, and then looking at money as a tool, an instrument to help you get to where you want to go. Let's take a look at your website right now. And I understand from what you shared before that people can go here and actually find out more information about your new book.
Yeah. So you can, it'll take you right to the main page if you'd like to be notified of Make Money Your Thing, the book, and when it's coming out. sounds like it's spring, but I don't have a precise date, but you can sign up there and I will keep you posted with the release date for that. But I'm really excited to be bringing this book out. And I really hope that it serves that purpose of empowering women. I share stories in it about, women I've worked with personally, just so you can truly see that like this is possible.
I really love your website. There is a sense of calm because of the colors that you've chosen and the way it's laid out. I think it's really great.
Yeah, lots of pink. We need the feminine. We need to have
Yeah,
more feminine around the topic of money too.
absolutely. Is there anywhere specific you'd like me to go on the website?
No, that's fine. Like at the top, you can go to books or shop, and that's going to bring them to the books pages. But there's also on my website blog posts from just different articles I've written and posts I've written about money topics, and then a link to my podcast too called the Wealth and Wellness Podcast.
Looks great.
Thank you.
So, Kalee, as we come to the end of the show, by the way, I said this before, I love these boots.
My mom
Fabulous.
bought them for me. She bought them on sale too.
Good
I'm like,
job.
that's key to a cover of a book about money.
Absolutely. One thing I just want to share about that, and then I want to touch on something else before we close up for today, is that when I worked in corporate till 2020, and for many years, I always wanted to have designer clothes, designer 3,000 for the, like just, and you can get them in a consignment store. Neiman Marcus is now partnered with Fashion File to have their bags that are slightly worn. I was buying their bags years and years ago. So I want people to realize that you can still have nice things. And if you think about sustainable fashion, for example, you're giving something a new life by putting it up for sale, and then you're buying something and giving it a new life. And secondhand stores are a great way to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can get creative and think of other ways. Exactly.
And Kalee, if people want to work with you, are you able to work with people in Canada and other places? How does that work?
Yeah, I'm an advisor in Canada and the US. So across Canada and the US, I work with clients.
Fantastic. And can you work on Zoom or through some other medium online?
Yeah, a lot of business has switched to Zoom just ever since COVID that we found ways to just make it work. So I guess it was, helpful in that way to see that business can be done different ways. So absolutely.
Fantastic. So for people who have not been able to read the banner, they can't see it or they can't read it, or they're listening on a radio or podcast platform, what is the best way for people to reach you, and who would you like to reach out to you?
Absolutely. So you can definitely go to my website. Everything should kind of be all in there. So it's kaleeboisvert.com. My name is very difficult to spell. So it's Kal and then 2 E's. And then Boisvert is B as in Bob, and then OISV as in Victor, ERT.com. So I have a complicated spelled name, KaleeBoisvert.com. And that's a great place to go. And you can contact me through there as well. But I mean, anyone can reach out if it's just a question you have, more information you want about just a different money topic. I do offer complimentary like discovery meetings with people just in case there is just a quick question you have, or things that you want to know, that you have those burning questions. I think Google sometimes can be very limited, or maybe the answers we get aren't specific for our own situation. So I'm always happy to help answer any questions.
Thank you so much. You've shared so many wonderful and important points here. What would you like to say as we close out today?
I just hope everyone listening to this feels inspired with their money, and hopefully you're inspired to take one action. So anyone, if you've listened to this, my homework for you is take one action towards or for your money. So maybe it's make an extra bill payment. Maybe it's, set up a meeting with a financial professional. Maybe it's, like buy a book about investing or something like that, or listen to a podcast, but just one action that you want to take for your money.
Excellent. And please do reach out to Kalee. She's here providing education and information. You can find her on LinkedIn, Facebook, under your name.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, fantastic. I really enjoyed this today. I learned a lot, and I thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. And as I always say, please do reach out. That's why people come here, because they want to provide education. Don't be afraid. Let's take the fear and throw it out the window. We're not going to be afraid. We're going to be taking action. So I would encourage you, your action step today is to go over on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, somewhere, and connect with Kalee. Also, she's going to provide a free consultation to answer your questions. Go to her website. You can find her books, especially parents. I would love for you to bring that knowledge and that information, because so many times in our life, decades later, it's kind of now we have to undo all these things that we feel and believe, even though they're not true. So please contact Kalee, and thank you again for being here. Our next show coming up is A Woman's Prerogative, where we have women from around the world who join our panel, and each week we have a different topic. We definitely need to have money and finances as one of our topics, and hopefully Kalee will join us. All right, thank you, everyone. I will be coming back right after this for our next show, Woman's Prerogative. Please go to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV and Radio, and subscribe. We have typically between 25 and 30 live shows a week, and we would love to hear from you and help you share your message. You can go to our website, which is usaglobaltvandradio.com, and you can book your session. Thanks again. We'll be right back.